right, guys, so we're going to go over some deep half guard passes. Deep half guard kind of became an integral part of my game somewhere around purple belt. I didn't come into jiu-jitsu with like a wrestling or judo background, found a ton of my time on bottom. I kind of found half guards attached to a lot of the bad positions on bottom, and my way of getting on top was by sweeping. And I think the best way to sweep from half guard is to get underneath your opponent, disrupt his balance, and use deep half guard sweeps to get on top. So we're going to go over one entry into the deep half guard position. We're going to talk about some of the concepts for maintaining the position and preventing passes, and then we'll get into the mechanics of the sweep. I just want to go over one entry. I think entries are there. They're all over the place. If you use the concepts we do for today's entry, you'll find it's available from a lot of bad positions in jiu-jitsu. But I don't want to spend a ton of time on it. If you want to grab me on open mat because you're a deep half guard player and you want to learn a lot of entries, we could do that during one of the open mats. But we're going to have one entry today just for a starting point. Then we're going to get into just the concepts of maintaining the position. If I show you a bunch of sweeps today and you have a sloppy deep half guard, you didn't learn how to maintain it, then you're going to go to try to do these sweeps in open mat. You're going to get your guard passed all over the place. You're like, why the hell did I take that class? So after we get done those two things real quick, then we're going to go into sweeps. We'll do probably 4 or 5 depending on time. Okay? Can I borrow your John's? Yeah. All right, so we're going to start off here just kind of like a traditional half guard. So we're going to put the shield in place, okay? The shield just kind of keeps pressure off my opponent here. And this is what we kind of use if we're a closed guard. We use like a scissor sweep. Kind of the same things available to us from half guard, right? We control the sleeve, we control the knee, and we use this to sweep over, all right? But we're not looking for the sweep. We're looking for deep half guard. So if I go for the sweep and I lose the hand, or I just don't have it in the first place, I'm going to use this to bring his weight and his balance out here. And this puts me in my deep half guard position, okay? So it's misdirection, right? Misdirection's a big part of jiu-jitsu. It's everywhere, whether it's passing, sweeping, submitting. You know, I don't want to ever really like force my opponent in position. I want him to put himself there, right? So if I want to control his hand here, I'm not going to grab his wrist. I'm going to bother his neck. And when he defends, now I'm going to switch to his hand. And if I want to pull his hand towards me, I'm not going to pull it towards me. I'm going to push it when he pushes back. Then I'm going to do this, all right? So same thing. It's misdirection. I'm pushing his weight out here to make this side of his body light, and that's going to allow my entry. If I just try to roll and do it now, too much weight on this leg, okay? So, starting here in the knee shield position, bumping him outwards, I make that leg light, and I roll into it, all right? We want this leg straight. We're going to talk about this in a couple minutes, but this is really important that I'm keeping this leg straight, all right? So one other variation, that's the first variation. The second one is, if this guy's not somebody who sits his weight on his hips, he's somebody that's got this god-awful pressure, right? Like, I'm scared to death right now to even move because if I do, he's going to be on top and it's going to be a bad way, okay? To me, I gotta switch up the way that I do this, all right? So when I kick out here and his weight isn't out here enough, it's still on top, I'm going to come up into an underhook and just crash into him, okay? So I push out this way the way I initially did, and I'm sitting up, and I'm sitting up as hard as I can, okay, like a car crash. And then when he's pushing back me as hard as he can, that's when I'm rolling into my deep half. Okay, so which one of those two entries I use always depends on how he feels to me, okay? If I feel like his weight is centered, I just kick him over and I go in. If I feel like his weight's coming in, I come up first, and then I dive into my deep half. Somebody need to see that again before we get started? All right, let's go. One more time? Okay. Okay, so the first one here. All right, so the first one is weights on his hips. He's not pushing into me, okay? I'm just taking him out, rolling underneath. The second one, I can feel he's really pushing into my knee shield here. I push him out and then I sit up hard, and then I roll back to my deep half. Okay? All right, a couple reps, let's get started. All right, guys, we're going to talk real quick about how to start to maintain this position, prevent it from breaking down before we get into our sweeps. So before we do that, I'll just touch on one thing real quick. So Giles asked me here a minute ago, what do you do when this guy starts to overhook and crush and pass, okay? So two things. The first is, when I play knee shield and I teach this, I never call it Z-guard. A lot of people call it Z-guard. And when you think Z-guard, you think this leg's supposed to be parallel. And then he feeds his hand in and he crushes, okay? When I play the shield, and that's why I call it the shield, not Z-guard, I plant my foot on his hip, I put my knee right in line with his chin. I put this hand inside of my leg, right? And now when he tries to crush, it's not there, okay? This is how I play shield, all right? But if things break down and I get a little bit lazy, and he does get here, how do I get into this entry, okay? So my answer is, again, misdirection, like I talked about earlier. So I'll throw my hand in here, grip the sleeve, and I'll start to look for this sweep. And I probably won't get it, but I'll make him nervous enough to bring that arm out. And then I get my entry. Okay, so if you run into that problem, it's one of the solutions to problems. Misdirection, it applies to all this stuff, okay? So, here we are, into our D path. Now, this leg has to be straight, okay? When I think of this position, I kind of think my opponent's like a wheelbarrow, okay? So freeze right here. This is the handle on the wheelbarrow, okay? I can move them all over the place. But I need this leg to be straight. If it's bent, I lose all my leverage. So when I'm here and I keep this leg straight, I'm cupping with the backhand right above the knee, and I'm rolling it outwards. And I'm keeping this tight pressure here, okay? This hand here, we're gonna hide underneath, because the two things that I have to worry about primarily to avoid the pass, preventing him from bending this knee and getting to the floor, or controlling this arm right here with the underhook, okay? We're gonna talk about the knee first. So, again, I cup it, and I roll it outwards, and I keep this pressure here, okay? Some of you guys were like really high on the knee here, and he was bending it underneath. Again, I lose my leverage. So when I roll, I gotta be south. I'm pinching close to the ankle here. And this is keeping me from bending the knee. I don't want to touch the floor here. The last thing we're gonna do today is deal with this if he does get it to the floor, but for now, I don't want him to have it, okay? The second thing is I gotta protect this arm. If he underhooks it, I gotta worry about the arm crush, I gotta worry about kimuras, or I just gotta worry about him stopping my sweep, okay? So I hide it. I put it underneath here, okay? If he's got strong arms, he can eventually, and I've dealt with this before, still wiggle it under there. Maybe he gets it out, but if not, he still stops my sweep once he gets here. So the other thing that I deal with here, take it back out, I don't just bring it under, like a lot of people do. I find the lapel and I attach it, okay? No matter how strong he is, he's not getting this out. And the grip's really important. Okay. If I'm thumb up here, all he's got to do is reach down and grab the tail and rip towards the sky. Okay. And it comes out. If I grab thumb down and then rotate my hand, I don't have to worry about losing this grip again, all right? This is tight. This is solid. He's not going to control this arm, okay? If he can't control this arm, I'm in a really good shape here. So I have this. Now we're going to go into our first sweep. Controlling this far side hip, and I'm using this to rock. A lot of people like to do this sweep by bridging. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but it's got to be explosive, and if you time it wrong, when you open up the bridge, he escapes his leg. Okay? Bad things start to happen. So for me, I like to displace his balance and start my sweeps, not by bridging, but by rocking. Starting from the beginning, we're going to go into our entry. We're going to make sure we control this leg, hide our hand, connect it to the lapel, thumb down grip. Okay? We're going to control this far side hip, and we're going to start to rock. And you see how his hand is going back and forth from front to back? This means I can sweep in both directions. And that's what I want. I want to be able to fight in both directions. So all I want you to do is get with your partner, do your entry, control them, and start to sweep back and forth here. Next revolution, we'll get into our sweeps. Any questions? All right, let's go. All right, guys, I just want to address one question before we move on. When I go into my entry, okay, I'm coming underneath. It's important that after I come underneath, I'm not hugging or holding when I roll, because his whole body comes with me. And if he's got a good kickstand there, I just get stuck. When I go into that roll, after I made this side light, I'm only taking the leg with me. That's what straightens it out. And that's what puts me down around his ankle, okay? Because when I first go into my entry, I'm up high above his knee. So if I roll and I take everything with me, not only am I getting stuck here, but this knee can get bent. I don't have a lever if it's a bent knee. I need a straight leg. So when I roll, it's really important I just kind of loosen up here, and I only take the leg with me during the roll. Make sense? Okay. Now that I have it and everything's straight, protect my arm. I get my thumb down grip. I hug the hip here, okay? So again, first sweep. If I can find the second lapel, I like it, and I'll show you why in a minute. If I can't, then I'll just hug the hip, and that's fine. But if I can get this second lapel here, I like this grip right here, okay? I swing, and I put him on his butt here. And then I come right up into the stack here. So I like these lapel grips. It's gonna make my stack pass so much easier. When I drill my sweeps, I never just like to just do the sweep and then stop. Because it can be that 1 second pause when you're rolling, when you stop your sweep, you get swept right back. If you go right into a pass every time you drill it, then when you're rolling, you're gonna be 1 step ahead. And you're gonna end up in side control or mount or something good instead of just a neutral position. Now going into my entry, I have my position, okay? Again, I don't just take him straight to his butt. I want to misdirect. So I take him forward first, then backwards. When he hits the floor, I'm switching my hips. So I'm facing him. Driving in, I find the lapel. Take his hips off the floor, I smash everything, and turn the corner. This grip keeps him from rolling over like so many people do. There's mine right here. You want to see it again? All right, let's go. All right, I'm going to cover 2 things before we go into the next sweep. I noticed some of you guys drilling with this. First is, I noticed that some of my friends over here are wearing no-gi. So does that mean I don't play deep half guard just because I don't have a lapel? The answer is no. I still play plenty of deep half guard when I'm in no-gi. The difference is, since I don't have this lapel as a handle back here, I don't feel safe or comfortable just laying on my back like most people do in deep half guard. I take it 1 step further and I hang out here. Because if I'm laying on the arm, it's just that much more protected. There's no way he's getting underneath it. And I don't come off of it until I'm ready to start sweeping. And if it fails, I come right back here. I don't stop on my back. So it's this little detail here that's going to make this arm so much safer if you're playing deep half guard and no-gi. Okay. The second thing I noticed, some of these people when you're capturing this lapel back here, you're kind of like hugging the leg here, and your arms like south of this arm. You're not finding enough slack to grab the gi. So if this is a shorter lapel, make sure you're feeding this arm in north of your backside arm. It gives you a lot more space to get enough feed on your lapel. Okay. So we got our position here. We're going to go for our first sweep. It's going to fail, and we're going to go into the second one, okay? So what happens is he's got this kickstand here. In most cases, my momentum takes him just enough, and when he puts the kickstand back there, I have enough leverage that I can still let go and come up. But if this hip's not touching the floor, and he kind of has these long arms sometimes, and the kickstand's in tight, I don't feel comfortable doing this, because if I let go and I start to come up, he's going to come up at the same time, all right? So instead, I keep him here. I'm not taking him over any further, but I'm moving myself. Here, right on the top. From here, I like to go in the knee bar, right? So I got this one hooked. I come underneath here, over under grip on the far side leg, and I sprawl into the knee for the knee bar. My legs have to be underneath to create this void to hyperextend the knee. If I lose it in transition, then I just grab my over-under pass instead. Yeah, take him off balance, I get my entry. I go for my first sweep and he stops it with a kickstand. I just hold him here and I move myself instead. Okay, this leg here stayed underneath it the whole time. And I cross my ankles to create more space, keeping his foot off the floor. I sprawl my hips into his knee for the knee bar. If I lose it, I just over under pass. You might need to see it again. All right, let's go. All right, so the next one's called the waiter sweep. A lot of you guys are probably familiar with this. Some of you kind of asked me about it already. Same starting position. For me, I never force the waiter sweep. It's never option A, okay? If his weight's solid and it's centered and I try to bump my hips now, there's just a lot of times there's not enough space, especially if he's got shorter legs. The waiter sweep to me is a reaction to him raising his hips. So he's gonna raise his hips for two purposes. He's either gonna try to step over my head, okay, or comes back. He's gonna kind of switch and he's gonna sit on this hip. So one of the passes kind of starts with, so one of the common passes to this is to start to switch. Where now you're sitting here and you come over the top to pass, okay? So again, my knees to the floor here, bad things are happening. So the waiter sweep's a good counter to this pass. Okay, so everything's good. I'm thinking about the sweeps that we've done so far, but if he starts to raise his hips, now I'm gonna do the waiter sweep. So he's creating space, and I'm gonna fill that space, I'm gonna fill that void with my hips. So my hips start to come up in the space that he just created. This arm's coming underneath of the leg, and this becomes my lever here, and I'm pushing him backwards. Okay, and to here I usually just switch right through to like that. It'll be more fluid that when you're doing it live, you're going to use his momentum to help lead you right into the pass. Okay, so the key concepts here are, once he starts to lift his hips, I want to raise my hips as high as possible, okay? So like a little bump here, I might not have enough space to get my arm underneath. I need my hips high. The higher I get them, the more space I have. The other thing is, if I lay straight, sometimes it's hard to reach. But if I rotate and change my angle into him, I get a deeper bite on the ankle here, okay? It's called the waiter sweep because if it's really done right, I'm holding my hand like a waiter holds a waiting tray, essentially. That's not really the way it turns out most of the time when it's live. But it helps you remind to get your hips high and get as deep a bite as possible. You guys want to see it again? Very good. All right, let's go. One more time. Sorry, one more time. Good? All right, let's go. Okay, so we get to our position here. If this guy's rolled with me a few times and I've gone for all these different sweeps, I'm taking him on his butt over and over again, he's gonna do this. He's gonna bring all his weight forward because he knows everything I've been doing to him in the past is bringing him back here. Or maybe I was just sloppy and I let him to start to get this knee to the ground, which I didn't want in the first place. All right, game's not over yet, okay? I didn't want him here, but if he's here, we still got options. So I'm fighting to take him to his butt. He's fighting to bring his weight forward. And now I'm just gonna push him forward as hard as I can, okay? So again, it's misdirection. He's driving this way. He wants all his weight, so I'm gonna give him what he wants, okay? I'm turning over to my knees and I'm shoulder bumping him forward. Here. I'm bringing my head out. I start to attack the back here, okay? If he comes up to this knee instead sometimes, bring the hook in here, have a truck position. Okay, lots of options if you bring him in that direction as well. It's just not my first choice. I like to take him to the back, take him to the back, take him to the back. He gets frustrated, he sells out, he goes forward, give him what he wants, come out the back door, back control. It's not really complicated. All it really is just a little bit of misdirection. And just driving forward. Once his weight's off of you, just taking the back. Okay?
Misdirection. Anybody need to watch it again? All right, let's go.